The sun was dropping behind the lake when it all began. I was fixing the old wooden dock behind my cabin when I heard footsteps on my land. Heavy, careless footsteps like someone walking into a place they believed they owned. When I looked up, 3 HOA guys were standing there with clipboards, fake badges, and the kind of smirks that made your blood heat. The tallest one didn't even say hello. He pointed his pen at my dock and said, "Yeah, this has to go. HOA Rule 14C, you have 72 hours. I stared at him, confused but calm. "There is no HOA here." He shrugged like he enjoyed my confusion. "There is now." Before I could reply, the woman behind him, clearly the Karen in charge, stepped forward. Short blonde haircut, big sunglasses, the whole package. She snatched a photo of my dock, then slapped a bright red notice on my boat like she owned the place. "You're violating community standards," she said. "Also, this area is closed for private use. Step away from the lake." I almost laughed. "Ma'am, this lake is my property." Her smile got sharper. "Not anymore. We're taking control of everything around it. And if you don't listen..." She gestured toward the truck behind her. A tow truck on my land. My chest tightened, not with fear but disbelief. "You can't tow anything from here." Karen leaned close, whispering like she wanted to make sure her words cut. "Sweetheart, we can do whatever we want." And right then the driver hooked chains onto my fishing boat. My father's old boat. The one thing I had left from him. I felt something inside me snap. I warned them earlier that morning when they first walked around the boundary line, but they ignored it like I was invisible. So this time I didn't yell. I didn't push. I just turned around, walked to my cabin, and came back with the shotgun slung across my arm. Their faces drained in 1 second. Karen stepped back, hand trembling over her fake badge. "Well, what do you think you're doing?" I kept my voice steady. "I told you once, this lake is mine. And you're trespassing." She shouted, "You can't scare us." "We have authority." I gave a slow, cold smile. "Lady, you have no idea who you're dealing with." And in that moment, something flickered in her eyes, fear mixed with confusion, because she realized I wasn't bluffing. "I warned you off my lake. You ignored me. Now you're going to regret that." The chains on my boat were still rattling when everything went dead silent. The HOA thugs didn't move, didn't breathe. They just stared at the shotgun resting against my arm. I didn't aim it. I didn't lift it. I didn't need to. Just holding it was enough to remind them they were miles from their little gated neighborhood and deep on land that didn't belong to them. Karen swallowed hard. This is intimidation. We'll call the police." I laughed under my breath. "Please do." But one of the men, short, nervous eyes, shaking hands, pulled out a radio. Not a phone. A radio. We already did. "Backup is coming," he muttered. "Backup? HOA members don't bring backup." That was the first moment something felt wrong. Too coordinated. Too confident. Too rehearsed. Karen lifted her chin again, recovering her fake courage. "When they get here, you'll be arrested for threatening officials." "Officials?" I raised an eyebrow. "You're a neighborhood committee, not the FBI." But she didn't blink. She smirked like she knew something I didn't. That was the second moment something felt wrong. Before I could say another word, engines roared from the tree line. 2 black SUVs rolled up, no plates. Tinted windows kicking dust all over my driveway. They stopped so close to each other they formed a wall. Karen whispered, "There they are." 4 men stepped out, all wearing dark uniforms. All wearing badges that didn't look real, but weren't exactly fake either. Some kind of private security. Expensive private security. One of them pointed at me. "Weapon down now." I didn't move. Not because I was trying to be a hero. Because I recognized the stance. The way he held his shoulders. The way he scanned the area before speaking. That was military training. But sloppy. Private, bought, not earned. Karen strutted forward, suddenly brave again. "Arrest him. He threatened to shoot us, and he's refusing HOA orders." The lead guard nodded, stepped toward me with cuffs ready. But before he came close, I quietly said, "You sure you want to put your hands on me?" He froze, not because of the shotgun, but because he finally saw the tattoo on my forearm, half covered by my sleeve. An eagle. A banner. A number beneath it. His eyes widened a bit too much. He knew exactly what it meant. "Sir, you served?" he whispered. Karen scoffed. "Who cares? He's breaking HOA rules." I cut her off. These men you hired, they're not here for HOA business, and you know it. The guard shifted, uncomfortable. Ma'am, maybe we should— No, she snapped. Do your job. He doesn't own this land. I checked everything. That was the third moment something felt wrong. Because I checked everything months ago. This land wasn't just mine. It was protected under a federal clause that very few people even knew existed, and the only people who did know were the ones trying to take it. I stepped forward, low and calm. You're making a mistake you can't undo. Karen clenched her jaw. We'll see about that. I have documents proving this lake is now under HOA management. I let out a slow breath. Show me. She snapped her fingers, and another man handed her a thick envelope. She smirked, opened it, and pulled out papers covered with seals and signatures. But the moment I saw the header, my stomach twisted, because I recognized the seal, and I recognized the signature at the bottom. And in that instant, everything about their sudden rules, their private guards, their confidence finally made sense. This wasn't about an HOA. This wasn't about my dock. This wasn't even about the lake. This was about something buried under the lake, something I thought no one else knew existed. Karen grinned like she'd already won. See, you're not the owner anymore. I looked straight into her eyes and said the line that made her smile fall apart. Karen, that signature you're waving around? I wrote it. The paper slipped from Karen's hand like she'd been hit. She stared at me, waiting for me to say I was joking, but I didn't blink. I didn't even breathe. She finally whispered, That can't be real. You're nobody. I stepped closer until she had no choice but to look straight at me. You think you're the first person to dig into my land records? You think I don't know what's under this lake? Her face went pale. The guards shifted, confused, unsure who they should be scared of. I tapped the corner of the paper with one finger. This isn't just a signature. It's a clearance mark, level 7, and there are only 6 people alive who can write it. Karen tried to recover her voice. You're lying. If you were someone important, you wouldn't be living here like this. I gave her a cold smile. Retirement means you disappear. That was the point. The head guard swallowed. Sir, we didn't know. You weren't supposed to, I said. But she did. I pointed at Karen. She knew exactly what she was trying to take. Her mask cracked. All the arrogance, the fake authority, the attitude, it drained out of her until she looked like a scared child holding matches in a room built of gasoline. One of the guards lowered his weapon. Ma'am, we're done. We're not touching him. Karen spun on them, screaming, No! We're in charge here! No, I said quietly. You're trespassing on protected land. And you brought armed men onto it. That's when real sirens echoed through the trees. Not the cheap radios. Not the fake badges. Real law enforcement. Karen's mouth fell open. You called them? I shook my head. Didn't need to. I pointed at the quiet metal box near the boat shed. Motion sensor. When you crossed the boundary line, they were already on their way. Her legs started shaking. This is a misunderstanding. The deputy stepped out of the cruiser, saw me, and nodded with respect. Sir, you all right? Fine, I said. But she has documents with classified seals. Private armed men on federal land. An attempted seizure of protected property. The deputy didn't even ask questions. He turned to his team. Cuff them. All of them. And handle those documents like explosives. Karen screamed as they grabbed her. He can't do this. He's just some lake guy. He's nothing. I finally let myself breathe. Karen, if you knew half of what I protected for this country, you'd think twice before calling me nothing. They dragged her toward the car, still shouting, still blaming everyone but herself. The guards didn't even resist. They looked relieved, like they'd been released from a job they didn't want. When the last cruiser rolled away, the deputy turned to me. Anything else you need? I nodded toward my father's boat. Yeah, help me unhook that chain. He smiled. On it. As the lake settled again, calm and quiet, I stood on the dock and watched the water move. Same lake I grew up on, same land I swore to protect. People think freedom is loud, but sometimes it's the quiet after you defend what's yours. I rested the shotgun against my shoulder and whispered to myself, I didn't fight for this country just to lose the one place that still feels like home. The end.